Mario has been in a ton of different games over the years. Somehow he's a professional athlete in almost every sport, has saved Princess Peach in both dimensions more times than we can count, raced a go-kart on hundreds of tracks, been to the Olympics, been turned into paper, and so much more. Mario's different series each have a special place in people's heart. And while many Mario games are amongst gaming's best, not every game in every series is held to that same pedigree. So in this video, we've ranked every mainline Mario game before, but today, I want to rank the best and worst Mario games from every one of his series. Just a couple of ground rules here. These games will all have Mario in the title, so if you're looking for the best and worst Luigi's Mansion or the best and worst Donkey Kong Yoshi game, you're not going to find them here. However, if that's something you're interested in, let me know down below, because I could definitely make that a video. With that out of the way, use the timestamps down below to skip around, and remember, these are just my opinions, so if I say something you don't like, it does mean that I've insulted you as a person, so get extremely mad and comment down below. Alright, starting off with the worst 3D Mario game. So for Super Mario 64 DS, in my opinion, the worst 3D Mario game, I'm gonna start with a positive. The mini games are awesome. Unfortunately, that's not really a part of the main game, but hey man, any game that lets me gamble with Luigi is immediately not that bad in my book. It's just that every other 3D Mario game is damn near incredible. Like, they're all 8, 9, or 10 out of 10 games, and 64DS, while good, has objectively terrible controls. The camera is on rails for most of the game, like you aren't really meant to be constantly adjusting it. You can, I believe, with the touchscreen, but that's just awkward, and oh yeah, you're using a D-pad, which, let me be clear, using a D-pad for a 3D platformer, obviously it sounds like a bad idea, and it is, but it's not inherently flawed. The only issue is that Super Mario 64 was made with an analog stick in mind. These levels are not designed for a D-pad, and it shows. It just never really feels super comfortable to play, and also the game is just weird, man. First of all, you start as Yoshi, and then it has this whole gimmick where you switch between characters, which you do in Peach's Castle, but then in certain levels you can also get their hats and switch that way. Also, there are certain levels where you pretty much have to play as a specific character, and it's a cool gimmick, but it just never really feels like they're executing it that well. It feels a little odd. The new levels they added in are fine, and graphically it's technically better. I mean, models definitely look better, and it's not as janky. It's kind of more like New Super Mario Bros.-ified, even though this came out before that series existed. Unfortunately, stylistically, I think it does look worse than the original though. If you look at footage from Bob-omb Battlefield, it all just looks a little bit more washed out than the vibrant contrast you got in the original. Of course, the colors you could argue make more sense in this one. I just think it looks worse. To sum it up, this isn't terrible. In fact, I don't even think it's a bad game. It's probably the best of the bad games I'm gonna mention here. It's just the worst in a series full of some of the greatest games ever made. This will likely be the most controversial pick in this video, and while in all honesty I completely understand that the vast majority of people will have Odyssey as the best 3D Mario, I'm standing on business. I truly believe Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is the best 3D Mario game that money can buy. Hear me out. 3D World takes the brilliant level design 3D Mario's always been known for and expertly translates it to a euphoric multiplayer experience. The absolute breakneck pace that this game runs through unique ideas is absurd. While the levels are more linear, that just means you're getting unique platforming gimmicks, cool new power-ups, interesting mechanics, and beautiful levels, one after the other after the other after the other. It's crazy in a game with this much content. Truly, no two levels feel alike. Now let's talk about the moveset. The Switch version fine-tunes every character, speeding them up, making the game feel that much snappier as a result. And on top of adding in new moves, such as being able to dive midair into a roll, I think this moveset is absolutely perfect. Sure, it lacks like a spin jump from Galaxy, unless you're playing as Rosalina, or the cap throws from Odyssey or Flood, but that's okay because this game is multiplayer. It's meant to be more simplistic naturally in its controls so that everyone can play. But don't worry, because it's so linear, the intense, challenging platform sections seriously ramp up. This game can get to be the hardest 3D Mario of them all, in my opinion. Like, Champions Road, I believe, is the hardest 3D Mario level. Oh yeah, it's also the only mainline Mario game to include true online multiplayer. And I haven't even mentioned Bowser's Fury, on top of everything that the base game of 3D World includes, which is 8 glorious original worlds, 4 special worlds, and being the only 3D Mario game to include good multiplayer and true online multiplayer, Bowser's Fury is the most densely packed and consistently fun 3 hours of gameplay Nintendo has ever released. I know it's short, but it's not always about the size of the game. It's about how fun that game is. And Bowser's Fury is consistently brilliant from the opening cutscene to the end credits. There's more fun in this 3-hour side mode than most AAA games that release today, and it's a peek into the potential future of Nintendo's flagship series. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is the king of variety, with brilliant linear levels to play, unique puzzles that spawn their entire own spin-off game, and the biggest open world that Mario has ever explored. This is the quintessential 3D Mario. You are quite literally getting the full package in a sense that no other 3D Mario game, not even Odyssey, as good as it is, can provide. While Super Mario Land for the Game Boy was originally my pick for the worst 2D Mario due to how poorly it's aged, I can't ignore how straight up terrible Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels really is. Super Mario Land at least has the excuse of having to run on the Game Boy and being the first ever handheld Mario game. All Lost Levels had to do was follow up one of the most popular video games of all time. It failed tremendously. It's a complete joke. Lost Levels is not hard for the sake of challenge, it's hard for the sole sake of pissing off the player. It genuinely feels like a troll or rage game. Something you'd play on Flash on like Newgrounds or something in the early 2000s. Everything is so absurdly devilish for no reason. From the first power-up you encounter in the game killing you, uninspired level design that's solely meant to just be as hard as possible, inconsistent mechanics, and just the win mechanic in general, this is, I truly believe, the only Mario game which was not created with the intent to bring joy to the player. Because of that, it just has to go here. Out of all the games on this list, you could argue that this is as perfect of a game as it gets. You can feel the development team finally felt unleashed from the computational restraints of making Mario games for the NES, as this game just overwhelms you with new mechanics, enemies, and brilliant levels. There's so much this game brings to the table that you can't help but be shocked. Arguably the best 2D Mario moveset ever. A hub world map filled with secrets and puzzles throughout. A beautiful 16-bit aesthetic that holds up better than many Mario games that followed it. One of the most iconic soundtracks with songs, riffs, and sound effects still ingrained in popular culture today. And oh yeah, Yoshi. What else needs to be said? Originally, I wasn't going to include Mario Maker in this video at all, but then I remembered this game exists. Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS is an abomination that made me question if Nintendo had a soul. In late 2016, early 2017, Nintendo ported over some of the Wii U's better titles to the 3DS, in hopes of making some easy cash considering the Wii U's abysmal console and therefore software sales. Unfortunately, while some of these games had features added to justify their release on a new console, Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS took the opposite approach, straight up removing the ability to share levels online. Why would anyone ever buy a level creator where you can't upload the levels, or play levels from other friends online? I'll tell you why. There's a 100 level campaign featuring courses created by Nintendo. It's a cool idea, sure, but you need to fully beat this in order to unlock every single course part, but once you get them, you can't even share the levels online. Well, was the game worth it to get a campaign made in Mario Maker created by Nintendo? Hell no! This entire game is a mystery, and the bigger mystery is, why did I buy it? I had Mario Maker for the Wii U already. This was a $40 donation to Nintendo. Okay, rant over. The best Mario Maker is 2, although it's not as cut and dry as you might think. I understand the added parts and style are enough for hardcore fans to vastly prefer it to the original, but honestly, I'm someone who's not attempting to clear extremely difficult levels or anything, so I would have a hard time putting 2 above its Wii U predecessor simply because the gamepad is the perfect controller for this style of game. I genuinely believe the gamepad adds so much to Super Mario Maker on the Wii U, it's insane. I genuinely loved making levels on the Wii U as it was so intuitive. I made a decent amount on Switch, but especially in TV mode, it just never clicked the same way. However, you'll notice 2 is still here, and that's simply for its final update. I don't know if I would put this here if it never got this, but the World Maker is such an incredibly cool feature. Stringing together your own levels to make worlds, and stringing together worlds to make your own 2D Mario game? Honestly, one of the coolest free updates Nintendo has ever added to any game. Okay, well, here we go. Mario Kart Tour fans have constantly been commenting on any video where they hear the word spin-off, claiming that their game is a mainline entry to the Mario Kart series. You know what? Fine. I'll indulge you. As a mainline entry, it's now eligible to be ranked as the worst game in the entire series.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
First things first, and this just comes with the territory of live service games, but there's no new content being added. Instead of finally removing the tour system, which limits players to the same 8 or so tracks for 2-week periods, and allowing us to play any track we want, they just repeated the last year's worth of tours in perpetuity, so a lot of the great content from earlier in this game's life, such as certain tracks, will just never be able to be enjoyed again. However, this game is a fanboy's dream. People who support this game always talk about the hundreds of karts, unique characters we've never even seen in the series, and almost every fan favorite track you can think of with some awesome originals too. Unfortunately, and I say this as someone who used to really enjoy the game and played it pretty consistently, once you peel back the curtain, you realize, oh, this game isn't about taking tight lines and outracing your opponents. It's about chaining together combo streaks and hoping for item frenzy. It's not about sitting on your couch with your friends, dying of laughter because of a fortunately timed blue shell. It's about playing the same levels over and over again, hoping for a high score so you can progress this game's version of a battle pass. It's not about choosing one of the plethora of awesome characters or karts. It's about logging in every day to get your reward bonus, grinding the weekly ranked cup, playing different variants of the same courses for 2 weeks straight, and doing all of that every tour to maximize the amount of gems you can get without spending money so you can even buy that cool character in the first place, just to realize they're straight up unusable on the vast majority of courses if you want to have even a chance to win because they're not a quote-unquote top shelf driver or kart part. This game is not created for the player to have fun. It's about letting you see that fun and then setting up as many artificial walls as possible to prevent you from getting there and then charging you for the ladder to climb over them. I don't mean to come off as disrespectful to fans of this game. I, again, used to play the game consistently. I bought the gold pass and I would constantly look forward every 2 weeks to see a new tour. I was really into this game for probably about a year or so. I've also consistently been playing Clash Royale since before this channel even existed. I understand people enjoy that grind. If you do, fine, more power to ya. I'm not blindly hating here. I understand where you're coming from. But for fans of this game to suggest that it's even remotely on the same planet as every other Mario Kart entry in terms of simply allowing all players to have fun, that's just laughable. In fact, I would never even put this game in that situation in the first place. It clearly should not be compared to other Mario Kart games in terms of like how fun it is. This doesn't feel fair, but fans have been consistently championing this game as a mainline entry, so they've done it for me. Mario Kart Tour, I didn't want to do this, but you're the worst Mario Kart game and it's not remotely close. But if you're also in the belief that it's not fair to stack this up against mainline games, then I would say Super Mario Kart. I'm not even necessarily sure I need to justify my opinion here. The most characters, tracks, battle modes, and I believe items in a console Mario Kart game. That is, if you don't count Double Dash's character-specific items. This is the game that just keeps on going. Telling someone a decade ago that we'd receive a Mario Kart game with 96 tracks one day that could be played on the TV and on a portable console would blow their mind. And despite it being well over 2 years since the Booster Course Pass's initial reveal, my mind has also been blown ever since. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I believe, is my favorite Mario game ever. These games are purely meant to bring joy to the player, and no other game has brought me and my friends as much consistent, replayable, pure joy and fun than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Super Mario Party is a disgrace. I made an entire video essay about why I hate this game so much, and I feel like it comes as a surprise to a lot of people because a big chunk of my fans really do enjoy this game. Unfortunately, you just have to understand where I'm coming from. Mario Party is an incredibly important series to me. I've had a lot of fun playing this with my friends and family. Obviously, it took a pretty substantial dip when ND Cube took over. However, Super Mario Party was marketed as a return to form, and it felt like it was gonna be. I mean, this was early days of the Switch. Other franchises like 3D Mario with Super Mario Odyssey were also getting their return to form. I was so excited for this game. It was not a return to form. It wasn't even close. It does not play at all like the golden age of Mario Party from Mario Parties 1 through 8. First of all, credit where credit's due, characters were awesome, and the idea that each character has their own specific dice block, I do really like that. However, that's about where my praise for this game ends. The economy in this game is absolutely broken in the main Mario Party mode. Everyone has way too many coins, which honestly just relegates most minigames after the first couple of rounds to virtually like playable cutscenes. They really don't impact the game because if everyone already has enough coins to buy a star, then the whole point is just hoping you get lucky with the dice rolls. The dice were also messed up too, as the standard dice, obviously everyone had their own character specific die, but the standard dice only went up to 6, so the game just felt a lot smaller as a result. It never really felt like you were progressing as much as you want. There's not nearly enough content in this game. I mean, there's 4 boards, which is just egregious, and it seems like instead of making more boards, they went ham on the side modes. You got stuff like Partner Party, there's a whole like single player campaign filled with mini games, but every other side mode is really undercooked. For example, River Survival is awesome. I believe this is the first ever time you have 4 players all working together in Mario Party. Like, that's sick. But when there are only 10 mini games you can play, because there's only 10 mini games where everyone works together, and you end up repeating mini games within just one playthrough of River Survival, you really cannot play this more than 1 or 2 times. It's just the same thing over and over again. Super Mario Party just frankly isn't as much fun as nearly any other Mario Party game, and was by far, to me personally, the most disappointing entry in the series. As the last game in the golden age of Mario Party, Hudson Soft knocked it out of their park with their swan song. I love Mario Party 8, and I'm just gonna be honest, this might be partially nostalgia, as this was the one I played the most on the Wii, but I have gone back and played this game over and over again, simply because the newer Mario Party games, even Superstars, in my opinion, just don't hold a candle to this. We always have way more fun with Mario Party 8. First of all, this game gets a lot of complaints because some of the mini games are very heavy on motion controls. I mean, some of them you straight up just have to shake the controller faster than other people. But that is not a bad thing. You can make the argument that motion controls, are to the detriment of something like a 3D platformer where you have to shake to perform a spin jump in Galaxy, or a 3D Zelda. I can understand why people might not want motion controls in those games, but come on, this is Mario Party. I feel like the motion controls actually make it better, because A, it's just fun, it's, unique. There's different types of minigames now. Some of them you have to use buttons, some of them are motion, but also everyone understands motion controls. That's part of why the Wii and Wii Sports were so successful. Because of that, Mario Party 8 is a lot more inclusive to people who have just straight up not really played many video games before. On top of that, this game has 6 brilliant boards, all with a completely unique feel. Goomba's Booty Boardwalk feels way different from the Shy Guy Express, which feels way different from the Bowser, Donkey Kong, or Boo maps, which all feel 100% different from Koopa's Tycoon Town, which is probably the most creative board in Mario Party history. It's so creative, it's hard to believe it's not even a side mode. The game plays completely differently on this one. It switches into like Mario Party / like bluffing, where you want to invest into different hotels, and you want to invest a lot so that other people can't steal the hotel from you by investing more, but obviously you want to save some coins. It's just ridiculous. I could talk about this board for an entire video. Also, last thing, this game features MC Ballyhoo, who is just hilarious. Oh, what is that? Oh yeah, thanks. MC Ballyhoo wants us to remind you to subscribe to the channel. If you made it this far in the video, I'm assuming you're enjoying the content, and we have so many more great videos coming out soon, especially with Switch 2 right around the corner. It would mean a lot. Thanks, let's move on. Alright, for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, the worst one has to be Tipping Stars. First of all, this game actually had a cross-buy feature where you could buy the game on the Wii U and receive the 3DS code free and vice versa. I only ever played the Wii U version, but that's a really cool thing. Regardless of that, I genuinely can't say anything great about this game. I think there are a fair amount of good aspects to it, but nothing great or memorable that stands out. The best way I can describe this game is if you transported me back to 2015 when this came out, and instead of it launching on the 3DS and Wii U, Nintendo announced this as their first mobile game, I just wouldn't bat an eye. It's simply something I played a little bit and then never touched or thought about again. Again, this is just my personal preference, but since I'm not a huge Mario vs. Donkey Kong fan, this seemed like a no-brainer. The original Mario vs. Donkey Kong is the one that started it all, and the remake not only makes the game look a lot better with full cutscenes, beautiful animations, and remastered music, but adds in new worlds and features like assist mode to create the quintessential game in the series. Mario Tennis Ultra Smash? More like Ultra Ass. There's really nothing to even say about this game because it's so bare bones. There's no reason this was a full price game. The one gimmick in this game is not that, oh, there's a single player campaign, or oh, there's a bunch of cool items. There's actually one item. It's the Mega Mushroom. First of all, I don't think anyone's even really a fan of the Mega Mushroom. It was already really played out by this point. Like, New Super Mario Bros. DS had come and gone, Mario Kart Wii had come and gone. It was in like maybe 3 levels in 3D World. And then here we have a Mario Tennis game where it's the entire game's gimmick. You just get really big and are still playing tennis, and then you hit it harder than your opponent can, and it's harder for them to return. And this one overpowered item is the entire gimmick of the game, and it just gets randomly given out to different people. This game is an absolute joke. If Mario Tennis Aces is rock, paper, scissors, then Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is just rock, rock, rock. There is no depth here. Mario Super Sluggers for the Wii is a game that I quite simply fear will never exist again. Graphically, it's kinda subpar even for Wii standards. There's no online play despite the Wii supporting it. Sometimes the controls could be a bit finicky, but damn. 9 stadiums wildly different from the last, each with their own custom minigame, 72 characters if you count alternate team players and Miis, all obviously in the game from launch. There's just so much content here, and damn is it fun. Recent Mario sports games seem hell-bent on being realistic or more competitive and mechanically complex, but I don't care for that nearly as much as the pure fun that the older Mario sports games from the GameCube and Wii era provided, and to be honest, Mario Super Sluggers is the prime example of that. Okay, so obviously we grouped all the Mario sports games together rather than doing like a Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario, Sluggers, rather than doing all that, just because it makes more sense for this video. However, there is one sports game that does get its own section, and that is Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Not only are these developed by a completely different team, being Sega, but also while they've definitely fallen off, this was a huge deal when it came out, and they pumped out a good chunk of these games. But now let's get into the worst one. I'm gonna be honest, ever since the Wii, I think these games have gone downhill, but 2020 takes the cake as the worst solely because there's no dream events. The 2D events are cool and all, and I'm not upset at all about them trying new things considering we had gotten so many dream events in the other games. I just don't simply think that the 2D events they replaced them with are nearly as fun. Considering the dream events are my favorite part of the series, and I don't think the replacement is as fun, this has just gotta be the worst. I've always preferred the sports in the Winter Olympics rather than the summer. Hockey, ski jump, slaloms, they're just extremely exhilarating, and I've always found that they transfer over in this series better gameplay-wise. So the best Mario and Sonic game is Vancouver 2010. Okay, first things first, not only do I think the winter games play better, I just like the vibe of these games more. I feel like the winter games, both this one and Sochi, but specifically Vancouver, were just super cozy. I don't know how to describe that. Let me know down in the comments if you feel the same way. Next though, the dream events here are sick. Flying through the air of the Mushroom Kingdom on skis is so cool. And with the special shots and items, Dream Event Ice Hockey turns into an infinitely replayable minigame that rivals some of the better Mario sports games on its own. While I truly think it's hard to go wrong with the first 3 Mario and Sonic games, 2010 in my opinion remains the high point of the series for its breadth of gameplay, creative dream events, and inviting controls. What do I even need to say about Paper Mario Sticker Star? This game took one of the only series to give Mario a cast of characters with actual personalities, unique designs, and motivations beyond Bowser Bed, We Save Peach, and just completely threw it all out. Uninspired story, boring gameplay, every character being replaced by the most generic Toad there is. It's actually impressive how much of a nosedive the Paper Mario series took in both quality and general fan reception. This game is not just a significant reason for that, but arguably the sole reason. On the other end of the spectrum, is anyone surprised? Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is the gold standard for not just Paper Mario or Mario RPGs, but role-playing games as a whole. Everything I just said about Sticker Star's cast of characters with boring designs, generic plot, boring gameplay is all completely inversed here. Also, technically I put the Switch version here, as while I'm yet to buy it, trust me I will. From everything I've seen and heard from the other Switch Top guys who have been playing, it's just the definitive way to play. There's some new badges, fixes for backtracking, obviously improved visuals, new music for different areas, and some extra goodies thrown in for fans that I won't spoil here. Man, the 3DS was not kind to Mario RPGs. Mario & Luigi Paper Jam essentially killed the essence of the Mario & Luigi series. The Mario & Luigi series has always been an RPG with decently fun gameplay, but its soul was always the original characters, original story. And Paper Jam just doesn't have that. It simply doesn't work. It's way too long, feels slow, and just doesn't have anything that makes the series so beloved. Honestly, I was looking up reviews to see what other people thought of this game, and I saw this review from someone named Ethan McNally that puts it best. I'll read the opening few sentences to you now. This game continues the trend of every Mario & Luigi game being unique. Superstar Saga was the first one, Partners in Time had the babies, Bowser's Inside Story had playable Bowser, Dream Team with the dream mechanics, and now Paper Jam has the groundbreaking mechanic of being hot trash. Shout out Ethan, I cracked up seeing this. As for the best one though, it's gotta be Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. First of all, this game has a great story, super unique mechanics, and in my opinion, the best special attacks in the series. As for the story itself though, you can play as Bowser and Mario and Luigi, so you kinda get two separate game styles and two separate stories, which is sick. First of all, you never really get to play as Bowser, much less for an entire game. But then these two separate play styles converge at the end, which is just so sick. Honestly, I can understand if you think Superstar Saga or even Partners in Time are better, but to me, Bowser's Inside Story has simply never been topped. Alright, this next section includes every RPG that isn't a Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi game. And the worst of these is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I feel like I'm crazy every time I talk about this game, because it has so many adamant defenders. People go to war for this game in the comment sections of my videos when I talk anything bad about it, which is just so bizarre. I think the presentation is good, the soundtrack by Grant Kirkhope automatically slaps because it's a soundtrack by Grant Kirkhope, and while Ubisoft obviously sucks as a company, they're able to put out inspired games like Rayman Legends, which is one of my favorite 2D platformers ever. And it's just cool to see a different studio with Mario, and they were still able to put a decent amount of polish on this one. However, I'm just gonna be honest, that's where this praise ends. I'm not gonna lie, the battle system straight up isn't fun. It's way too repetitive. Even when you get new characters or new guns, it does not nearly change up the battle system enough, and it feels way more repetitive than any of the good Mario and Luigi or Paper Mario games. The checkpoints are really dumb. There are battles with like multiple stages, and there's no checkpoints in between the stages, so sometimes you just have to replay battles over and over again just to get to the part that you failed at last time. The story is non-existent. RPG games thrive on having a good story and unique characters that make you go through the arguably what can be occasionally monotonous gameplay, but in RPG games with good stories, you simply don't care because you want to see where these characters go. The story here is terrible, it just never grips you at all, and the Rabbids are here, they just suck, they're not fun. I feel like because a bunch of people were surprised when this game got leaked, everyone thought it was going to be terrible, and it's not atrocious, and also it's clear the developers did put a lot of effort, and it meant a lot to them to probably be working with the character who arguably probably got a lot of them into video games in the first place. Like seeing the director of the game crying as Miyamoto came on stage at, I believe, Ubisoft's E3 2017 showcase, like, it's heartwarming. I wish I could like this game, but I think a lot of people like it for the stuff surrounding the game, the fact that Ubisoft made it and it's actually good, the fact that it came so far out of nowhere, the fact that it kind of showed that Nintendo was easing up and allowing other people to use Mario. It gets a ton of praise when realistically, it's just a bunch of semi-interesting puzzles in a Mario coat of paint with nothing more. It lacks the story, characters, motivation, and frankly charm that make Mario RPGs and frankly RPGs in general so great. Once again, we're talking about a Nintendo Switch remake of a Mario RPG game people never thought Nintendo would reference again that released at the end of the system's life. Mario RPG is honestly a pretty short game for an RPG, but it's the perfect length. It doesn't need any padding or artificial points where you need to grind levels. It's just so fun. It has so much unique gameplay, and that's the perfect example of everything I love in an RPG, versus everything that bugs me with Kingdom Battle. Kingdom Battle is the same thing over and over and over again. The battles slightly change up, but not enough for them to feel different, and then you just walk around in the overworld and maybe find some coins scattered about and find some little secrets. It's just not a ton of variety, whereas in Super Mario RPG, you can't go half an hour without seemingly encountering a new minigame, style of gameplay, unique gimmick, or just something hilarious. The characters in this game are so funny. It's the cherry on top of one of the best Mario RPGs and the one that started it all. Okay, I kinda added this part in as a joke, given that there are only 2 movies that got worldwide theatrical releases, and it's incredibly obvious which one belongs where. The Super Mario Bros. Live-action movie is atrocious. This is Bowser, this is a Goomba, this is an oddly ominous prediction, and this is a complete joke of a movie. While not the perfect movie, Illumination's take on The Big Plumber made $1 billion for a reason. It's a well-executed family flick that oozes references, charms, nods, and Easter eggs to Mario fans of all ages and levels of fandom. Given how successful Mario is, and how so many people have fond memories spent with this plumber, it's no wonder the movie was so successful. Again, it's not perfect, but for what it set out to do, it couldn't have been better. With that out of the way, those are the best and worst games from every Mario series plus the movies. Did I miss any series? I don't think so, but let me know down in the comments below. And let me know every time you got really angry down there below as well, because I'm sure that this is not a universally agreed upon list. In fact, I'm sure you guys all disagree with it, so let me know. I'm just curious to see what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, click the video on screen right now. It's just whatever video YouTube thinks that you would really enjoy. I trust YouTube, and hopefully you do too. I'll see you guys. Peace.